this up and let it warm up.
We're warming up the rectifier.
Been de-rectified.
Kelly, 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 Kelly. I keep saying that every time I see this guitar. And I can't remember what it's from. It's something from the 80s, and I think I wanted to say it was Married with Children, but it's not, and I can't think of what it is. So if you remember what that is, let me know in the comments. It went Kelly, 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 Kelly. Anyway, this is a Kelly guitar by Jackson. It's a Jackson Professional, Kelly STD. This is a Kelly for Kelly. It's owned by somebody named Kelly, and he's just as extreme as this guitar, so it's apropos. It's just in today for a string change, tune-up, setup. Looking through the fretboard really close, there's really not much wear. A lot of more wear up here. So I think there was a lot of power cordage, and judging by the little dings here on the pickups, there was definitely some power cordage there. So this is a 1990. It's got the two humbuckers, switch, volume, and the only thing I really want to do is the bridge is back a little bit. I kind of want it sitting about there so that the body, the angle of it here, this plane, is level with the body. So that's just a little tweak I need to make. And neck looks straight, really flat, like a shredder would be. And yeah, so pull off the strings, I'll set you up, and we'll start going through it. So there's kind of two ways of stringing these. You could put the ball end in up here and then cut down here and tighten it in, or cut the ball end off, put it up here, and string it up normally. I prefer to cut the ball end off and string it up normally. Either way, you're cutting the string. The one thing I don't like about the ball ends up here, I think that's a lot of tension and pressure on these tuning keys with the ball pulling. I think you'd be better with the string being springy, even though it's locked down there. Plus, I think the balls look weird. So we're going to get rid of those. Ends up being a 3mm wrench to loosen that. And they're kind of rusty, so I'm going to just take them off and give them a little clean up. Normally I would just leave them on there, half screwed in. But we'll take them off and clean them up. Get some of that rust off. Take some tension off of these. You know, I nearly forgot. I like to always put a little something under the bridge to hold it up from completely going back on you. Rubber squeegee works pretty good. Came off pretty good. This one didn't want to really come back though. A lot of pitting underneath the surface up here. I think it might be from hand wear. That's where you mute. Alright, got my fret checker mabob. Gonna just see how things are sitting here. Alright, I've gone through the fretboard. It's all looking pretty good. I think it was 4, 8, and 16. They were kind of lifted. Gave them a little bit of taps with the fretboard hammer, and went from there. They sat down a lot better, but when you sighted down the neck, you could see that they were lifted. So everything's looking good now. Some of the hardware, most of the hardware looks really good. The three, the nut screws that were up here, those were rusted. Down here, the pickup, the screws that hold in the pickup surrounds, those were like oxidized and rusted too. And then the two posts that held this in were, one of them was rusted and one of them had this oxidation all over it. So I took those off. I gave them a vinegar bath, gave them a little repaint, and it's looking good now. The pickup screws, I'm going to put those in and then just hit them with the paint pen really quick, and then I can start stringing it. Alright, the screws are in here. While I had the strings off, I noticed one of the screws for the truss rod cover was missing. And the other two are starting to get that oxidized look too. So I just replaced all three of them with 3 brand new black screws. I was going to start buttoning it up and cleaning it. And I'm noticing in here, if you look inside around the pickups, there's a crazy amount of metal fuzz sticking out. It's like stalactites in a cave in here. That's not good. So I've worked on a lot of guitars. I don't think I've ever seen that. But that could lead to shorts and stuff. My first thought was to blow it out with compressed air, but then it's going everywhere. I don't want that. I'm going to try the vacuum first, and if that doesn't get it, I'll take them out and try to get it off with something magnetized. I don't know. Alright, the vacuum did the trick. Nice and clean in there. Yeah, that's going to be good. I'm not going to take them out. Leave them in there. I want to go on to cleaning it. Fretboard is kind of dry, so I'm going to start with some oil. See how that looks. Alright, I'm going to let that soak in a little bit, see how it looks. It definitely feels like it hasn't been done in a while, so yeah, let that soak in. Alright, that's set in pretty good. Wipe off the excess. Rub it right on down in there. Getting any gunk out, I'm going to use the sprayway. You'll get, my sticker residue off, fingerprints, stuff like that. Little goes a long way too. Finish that off with some spray wax. The neck screws were that oxidation too that's coming up all over the guitar. Those are particularly bad. don't want to take them out though. I just kind of spritzed them down with a little bit of deoxit and let that soak for a little bit and wipe it down. Alright, I was provided strings with this. 1046 boomers, can't go wrong with those. I had mentioned when I was taking the strings off, there's two ways to do this. You can run your ball through this end, trim it where you need to do it, put it in, tighten it down, and tune it up. I don't like that because I don't like to see the balls up there, for one, and I think that's a lot of tension on that tuner. So I'm going to do it this way. And what I like to do is, if you have a deep enough, if your bridge is designed deep enough here that you can cut off just the ball, then you can do that. This comes up out right over the saddle, so I'm going to take it off right above the winding. I'm going to put it through. Tighten this up. Always best to make sure that those are real tight. And now I can tune it just like I would normally tune a guitar. String it anyway. Run it through the tuners with my luthier's knot. Go around twice. I pull it taut. Run around twice. Push it through the hole. Tighten it up. String wind it till it's caught. Alright, I was told that this worked, but it's making a heck of a lot of noise. So, start looking into that. Alright, I'm going to diagnose this one down to a bad jack. When I put my meter here on the 20K horseshoe, I'm getting 8, so that's getting it there, but it wasn't getting it to the tip of the jack. So that thing looks like it's seen better days. Looks like it actually might have been resoldered on there, and this plate's a little warped too, so I'm going to take that apart and try to fix that plate, straighten it back out, and put a new jack on. Well, stupid me wired it backwards. Tip is the outer one. Inner one is the ground. Had a 50-50 shot anyway, right? Try this again. Got my plate. Got a new washer here. Alright, much better. We got the jack. A lot of these screws are suffering the same fate that they did on the front. They're getting this oxidized rust on them. And rust on that end, oxidation on this end. I'm just going to replace them all. I think it's more healthy for the guitar to not have oxidation going on it. You can get like a kit of, different colored hardware on Amazon. Pretty helpful actually for stuff like this. Much better. While I was in there, I had deoxed the pots, so I can button up this back. Use some new screws too. Something that's bugging me here. On these types of tuners, the Grover style, there's a little, like a plastic washer that goes between the tuning head that you hold and the shaft. And if you take out that screw at the end, you can get in here and for instance, this one, the plastic washer is missing completely. I'm going to take one here off of this donor Grover. These Grover tuners I had on a Hondo that I had when I was a kid, my first guitar. And there's our plastic washer right there. There's a metal, so we're going to go plastic, metal, plastic. In that order. What often happens on these is that plastic washer over time just gives way and just falls out of there and disappears. And then your tuner is wobbly up and down. And that's not good either. You're just going to strip the shaft out. So insert your own joke right there. Alright. Grovers are the gift that keeps on giving here. Alright. Now, I'm pretty sure this was set up for 9s. Because when I put the 10s on and started tuning up, this really came up, which means I was putting a lot more pressure on it than the 9s were. It's still pitched up a little bit. I'm tuned to pitch, so this is kind of a balancing act. I'm going to tighten up the 2 screws on the claw here just a little bit. And that was a 1.5 turns on the top one, turn on the bottom, try to keep them even. And that did bring it down a little bit. It is nearly there. So we'll tune it again. That, of course, sharpened everything up. Back to an A. There's always the chance that I went too far on those claw screws, and I've got to back them out. If I went 1.5 turns and that was too much, maybe back it off to 3/4 of a turn. Alright, I'm tuned back to pitch, and that actually dropped down a little bit. So I'm going to take a turn out of it. That was a 1/2 turn I just took out of it. And we'll tune it again. Another thing you got to be aware of is not to rest your hand on the bridge itself. Alright, I've got that finally set. It's a delicate balance between the spring pressure on those 3 springs underneath on your bridge and how much tension your strings are pulling up here. So, and that's how I've always done it. I tune it up, back it off, tighten it up however I need to get this bridge to be perfectly balanced and level with the guitar. And looking down, sighting down the side, that looks really good. I like where that's sitting. Alright, so with the bridge at the right height, meaning the right angle, I can start figuring out my height here. These ferrules want to come out, so I'm pushing them back down. Alright, I'm going to start there. I think I'm going to start figuring out intonation now. So what I'm doing with the intonation here, it's a tough guitar to do intonation on because you have to keep loosening the strings to make any adjustments. Then kind of eyeball where you're going to be going with it. The E needed to just come back a little bit. The D needed to come back quite a little bit. And then when I got under here, I realized that the screw was loose, so that was up as forward as it can go. So that's in the right spot now. I can move on to the lower strings here, the G, the B, and the E. Alright, with the intonation done, I can put my locks back on. Alright, I got my 3 screws on for my locks. I have the fine tuners down here on the bridge set about halfway. And I'm going to tune it one more time before I lock these down. Alright, it's tuned up there. I can lock it down. Alright, with that bridge set where it needs to be, put the back plate back on. And again, I'm going to go with some new screws. Alright. Just looks much more tidier without rusted screws. If you can do it, replace those screws. Yeah. I mean, just look at those. Nasty. Well, you know I'll keep them for something else. I can't throw anything away.
Well, that sounds fantastic. You know, it's like 2 days later, and when I pulled it out of the case, it was still in perfect tune, even after all that whammying he did. Which means that I have the bridge balanced correctly. I did a quick tweak on the D and the B just to get the intonation a little closer. Frets look fantastic, shiny, looking brand new. The back of the neck is really smooth. It's a real flat neck, real conducive to shredding. I got the action really low, the bridge balanced correctly, of course. We went through all that hardware. It was a lot of oxidation and rust. We removed most of that. Stuff that was too far gone I replaced. We did deoxit in the pots and the switch. And I also replaced the input jack. So it has gone through. It is ready to rock. Really unique guitar too. You don't see too many of them. You see, you know, the jack, the dinkies and the V's, but you really don't see too many of the Kellys. So, and there's not too many people who play them either. You have the guy it's named for, Bradford Kelly, and you have Marty Friedman, and that's pretty much the big superstars who would play them. So I'm going to get this Kelly back to Kelly, and they can resume their shred fest over there. So I want to thank you for joining me. Thumbs up for filming it for you, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.
That was awesome. That was still in tune.
That I wasn't sure about. The way I was using that.